he feel he want to talk about some different projects that are going on now, problems that are going on now. Welcome, Dr. Leeks. And you know, this resume, you have 104 items here. I decided, since you suggested it, we're going to talk about race relations. Tell us a little bit about it. You're a consultant. You've been around 40 years, working one place 40 years, right? And now you're out there writing books, and some of the books are the new Jim Crow and privileges, powers, and different. Tell us a little bit. You can start at the top.
All right.
Where were you born? And, you know, give us some information.
Well, just quickly, I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, but raised in Washington, D.C., college educated in Indiana, and worked a while in Flint, Michigan. And
bumped around a lot.
Yeah,
huh?
bumped around, but I spent the bulk of my life in Prince George's County.
Yeah,
That's
but
where
you
I've
got
been.
a degree after you bumped all these places. You made sure you had something to show for it, right?
Right, and it was the kind of things that as I pursued my career and added to my education by going to the University of Michigan, and then got a PhD at the Union Institute. And my PhD was in organizational behavior with a very heavy emphasis on change, and especially addressing issues of race, gender, sexual orientation.
Hey,
so
that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, where do you want to start? You want to start with race relations?
Well, I thought I'd like to chat a little bit about it, because the issue of race is such a critical issue in our country and has been for years. In fact, if I go back to W. Du Bois in his book in 1903, he said the problem of the 20th century was the issue of color. And we are now in the 21st century, and that issue is still
here.
Still here. And,
just a different way of doing it now.
Very different way, but some of the same principles and so forth that were operating at that time and operated during the time of slavery. And even today, with a lot of success that we've had in terms of improvement of issues of race, as one prime example is the fact that we've had Barack Obama be elected president and then re-elected president. And yet, as we see all of the kinds of things that are coming against him, makes me wonder just how much progress have we made. And one of the concerns that I have is that we as a people in this country just are so uncomfortable talking about the topic of race. And so a lot of what I have done over my career and working in corporate America and working in nonprofits and all is that all people are uncomfortable talking about race. And when I say all people, I'm saying white people, people of color, and I use the term people of color to represent black, brown, Asian, Native American. And what I find is that because that many people in some ways don't know enough about the true history of this country, feel very uncomfortable engaging in the conversation. Some folks feel uncomfortable engaging in it because it's very painful to start to talk about things that have happened to you personally, and this is especially true for black and brown folks. A lot of people have tried to put some of those uncomfortable things behind them, and they don't want to have a conversation about race. And then white people are so uncomfortable because deep down they know that a lot of the things that black and brown people talk about are as a result of what white people have done. And for some of them that's very personal because they know either they have or their ancestors have done. And so it makes it difficult. But one of the things that I have chosen to do is to try to help all of us to be able to have these very difficult conversations. And part of what I try to say to folks is that in order to have authentic conversations about race, you have to be willing to take some risk.
Well, what do you think about the current headlines, things that are going on in the sporting world and in
Sure.
general?
Yeah. It's just the whole issue around the domestic violence that has come up around the National Football League. That's just another indicator of an issue that is just solidly a racial issue.
Well, what do
Because
you?
for the most part, let me just say, for the most part, most of these instances in which that they've come up with cases have involved black, outstanding athletes, young men who are doing very well, but have some difficulty in terms of how they handle themselves when they run into some issues
Yeah. Well,
that
what do
they
you?
disagree about.
Okay. Well, what do you think about this young lady? She is European that is having the same problem from I think a soccer team.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, that's an interesting one. Now I don't know as much about the background of that because that has just recently come
Right.
up. So I don't feel as comfortable commenting about it as I do in terms of the kinds of things that have happened with Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson and the 3 or 4 others that have come to the forefront recently. But I'm certain that once that they do more of the research on it, they're going to find that the issues around how people handle anger.
okay, I think it's centered around the economy. You know, Richard Wright, the great poet, said, you know, you're not free unless you're economically free. And I think in terms of that is a true statement. Because what happened is we still have problems in private industry getting employed at the higher level. Quite a few minorities had to go into the federal government in order to get recognized from the education that they took. And now all of this is coming back. And I would say private industry. What do you think of that? Their involvement in race relationship?
Private industry's
Yeah.
involvement? Well, in some respects, private industry has made probably some greater strides in increasing the hiring and the advancement of people of color than in some ways the government. And some of that particularly has been the fairly recent success of some CEOs in big major corporations.
Well,
coming
what
to
do
the
you think?
forefront.
Is that tokenism? You know, we had tokenism a way back. You know, where they
Well,
we have it in the elections. The same thing had with the governor. You know, with Maryland.
Well, we are still, as you talk about tokenism, we're still dealing with constantly hearing this is the first. For
Yeah,
example,
right.
Anthony Brown, Lieutenant Anthony Brown, who's running for governor of the state of Maryland, when he is successful after the November 4 election, he will become the first
Yes.
black governor of
Right.
the state of
But
Maryland.
when are we going to stop that? I think once we stop that, well, it's not unusual to see a minority in a CEO position or a position of class.
Yeah. Well, actually, at this point, it's not so unusual to see blacks in very high-profile positions everywhere, in government, in the private industry, in athletics, in entertainment. The dilemma, here's the dilemma. The dilemma is still that the people in the media who still call many of the shots, they are still functioning off of it's an exception for a black person to be in that position.
Well,
I think that has to change.
yeah. Okay. Well, the media, I know I'm part of the media, and I've experienced some of the things you talked about. Well, since you identified that, don't you think one of the answers to that is having the minorities to develop some kind of communication line, like newspaper shows and things like that, that they control, because most of the television is controlled by private industry,
Sure.
and that depends on the different shows and things like that.
Well,
but as far as minority is concerned, they still have tokenism.
Yeah, but I think I agree. We are talking about moving into an industry that has been so controlled for so long by primarily white people. But what I think we are seeing, and is very encouraging, is being able to see what Oprah Winfrey has been able to do, what Tyler Perry, as Tyler Perry has now gone and made Atlanta the Hollywood of the South.
But I'm thinking of that person, that minority that's working at McDonald's, working at those type jobs that really are not making enough money to
now
be
that's a
in that
different
line.
issue. Now that's a different issue. You went from can
right.
we have some control?
Right. But you look at most of minorities are in that class, low economic class.
That's right, because that's still a fallout from the fact that we had slavery. It took time to get over slavery. Once slavery was sort of over, then we fell into the Jim Crow and all of this going on. So in many ways, we are still struggling to bring what I would say is true equality, where that many of the people that you referenced in terms of working at the McDonald's, part of that is it goes back again to an issue that's connected to education.
Okay, and you heard it here on Ed Brown Show. We talk about a lot of things, but that's one of the problems that it seemed to be constant is race relationship, and having people to realize, where it came from, how it started, and to, have some compassion for individuals that been under that type of environment for hundreds of years. This has been Ed Brown. I want to thank Dr. Leeke for being here. And man, we could have talked a long time, but time is out. See you next time.